So my name is Hunter. I'm here with Justin, joining me via Zoom, and he is currently in Long Island, New York. Justin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty well. Can't complain. So how have you adjusted to online classes so far?
Online classes honestly have um, kind of lowered my uh, enthusiasm for learning a bit, just because like the whole interactivity, like the of the class is kind of gone. The Zoom calls have helped a lot, like getting to see your professor and still getting to see the lessons that they have planned for you. But right now, it feels like all the professors are still like trying to get their stuff together and still trying to figure out how to manage their classes online because obviously it's something that they've never had to do before. This is a very unique situation that we're in.
Mhm.
So it's stressful but also very lax at the same time because there isn't much structure to the classes right now. So like, a lot of the times I don't really know like what is required of me for a lot of my classes. So I guess that kind of brings out a little anxiety, not exactly knowing like what my requirements are for these classes now that I already had a set structure and a set syllabus for. Like now it's completely different, but it's also kind of lax in the fact that I could just that I get to work entirely for, like from my bedroom now. So it has its ups and downs.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So what have you been doing to pass the time? We're just self-quarantining, just staying inside. Yeah. So what are you doing to keep busy?
So for the most part, it's actually very interesting because my sleep schedule has been completely messed up since quarantine started. Usually I would work my sleep schedule around around my classes because I would just spend the entire day from the minute I wake up to the minute I go to sleep, like being productive. But now because there's nothing to do and because we're trapped inside all day, I kind of just fill in the gaps where I'm not taking class, just like sleeping and trying to figure out things to fill in the time because I can't go outside, I can't go to the gym, I can't really practice my craft in entertainment or videography or anything like that.
Hmm.
So for most of the time, I'm just up till 3, 4 a.m. Just like trying to fill in time with either like playing video games or like catching up on TV shows or whatever because there's literally nothing else to do. So it's not the best situation. It honestly feels like I'm kind of wasting a lot of time, even though I know that there's literally nothing I could do with my time otherwise. But it's still, even though we are trapped in quarantine and there is nothing we could really do about the situation, it still feels like I could be doing something that I'm not really tuning into, you know?
Yeah, no, I get that completely. It is definitely hard to find, stuff to do just around the house all day. Yeah. All right. So taking it to a little bit more serious note, what are your fears about the coronavirus? Any sort of like potential possibility that you see happening?
My main fear for the coronavirus, honestly, I things are pretty bad right now, and it looks like things are going to be getting worse in the short term. And I feel like, but this will be something that will take at least months to clear up and take everything back to normal, back to the way things were before. And I am more concerned about the long-term ramifications of the coronavirus and what we've had to go through. Like for example, people like you and me who are still in college, I'm worried about how that's going to affect us economically. Like once we get out of college, how hard is it going to be for us to find a job? Like a word on the street is we're going to enter a recession
Mhm.
once the whole coronavirus situation ends. So how are we going to be able to deal with that? Because once that recession apparently starts, we're going to be fresh out of college and have to start our own career. So how is that going to affect us? That's what I'm most concerned about, honestly. And I'm concerned for my parents too because they were both set to retire next year, and now I'm not sure if they're going to be able to afford to do that anymore. So it's the I'm a little fearful of that. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, no, it definitely is. Yeah, a lot going on, a lot to worry about for sure. So yeah, you kind of touched on this a little bit with my last question. How have you personally been affected by the coronavirus in any sort of means, whether you know a friend or family member who personally has it? Any more little things about day-to-day life? How has that changed for you?
Yeah, so the coronavirus has pretty much affected my daily life from all angles. Like I said, it affects my daily routine. Like I had a very set schedule while I was in school, and now I'm kind of just doing nothing, and it's giving me a lot of anxiety. Like I feel like I want to be productive, and there are so many things I want to be doing that I literally just can't do now. And with my parents, my dad runs his own, believe it's considered an essential business. He does appliance repairs. So thankfully he's able to still work, but because everyone else is out of work, he's not getting paid for any of the work that he's doing right now. So I've been in my spare time working for him just to kind of try and make life easier for him and make ends meet. And I imagine that's going to be something that's going to affect us in the long term. My uncle, he's a firefighter, and and he learned like 3 weeks ago that three people in his firehouse had it, and he ended up getting it too, and he brought it home with him. So
Oh,
he
no.
ended up infecting everyone in his house with the coronavirus, including my aunt, including my cousins, and my grandma who was with them. So that was honestly pretty scary. My uncle went to the hospital and got tested, and he tested positive for coronavirus, of course.
Mm,
And the rest of his family, like they all showed the symptoms, but they weren't able to get tested because they weren't a first responder, like they weren't a
mhm.
firefighter, they weren't a police officer. So them getting tested wasn't a high priority, I guess. Like they would have had to wait in line in order to get tested for the virus. So they figured like there's no reason to like waste time doing that. They know that they have it, so now they're all just kind of quarantining themselves. My grandma's in the hospital right now because of it, because her symptoms were really bad.
Oh,
So yeah, like it's become a big part of my life like very quickly, and it's kind of scary.
wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's really tough to hear. Yeah, that's a lot you're going through. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, truly, that really sucks. Um, okay, so when do you expect things to go back to normal? Slash, is there ever going to be a normal in the next, few years? Because obviously, like 20 years down the line, we probably won't be thinking about this too much. But how do you think it'll impact us short term, medium term, that kind of thing?
I feel like this is an event that is going to have dramatic effects that will radically change the way we approach things like this in the future. I think this event is sort of on the scale of something like 9/11, where it kind of changes our output on how seriously we should be treating infectious pandemics and viruses and stuff like
Mhm.
that. I feel like the like many more precautions are going to be taken for stuff like this in the future because of how extreme and how radical the situation has been here. I expect things to probably get better. I think best case scenario, things will probably go back to normal by July, but I feel like that's kind of hopeful. I feel like by the beginning of August, things should be wrapping themselves up. I feel like by the time we go back to school next semester, things should be back to normal.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm expecting too. But, again, we're learning new information on this every week. So things just keep changing. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Justin, for your time. You have any questions for me right now?
Uh, for my interview for you, I'll have plenty of
Just in
questions. But
general. No,
other
just
than
in
that,
general.
nope, I'm all good.
Awesome. All right. Well, have a good day.
All right, thank you.
Yep.